Hello and welcome to this second episode of Star Wars Universe Podcast of March 8th. Today we are talking about The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 2, with myself and Ashley Coffin. All that and more after a commercial break we have no control over. Welcome back. This is Matthew, your host. I'm joined, as I said, quite regularly on this show by Ashley Coffin. Ashley, how are we doing tonight?
I am fantastic. I'm actually pretty pumped after this episode. It was really fun.
Yeah, this was an interesting episode. We got a lot of great stuff going on in it. And let's just jump right into it. So overall thoughts on the episode?
I have a personal love affair with Katie Sackhoff because I love Battlestar Galactica. So the more of her I get, the better. And I don't know so much about the history of it all. I know that Boba Fett kept calling her princess and that she, I watched a couple episodes, but I don't know the whole story. So it was really fun to see her tell her story in the show.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing I love. And honestly, I think this season is tying so much into the animated shows. And for me, that is such a good reason why I think you're the perfect co-host for me, because I want that voice that represents the folks who haven't seen all that. Because when I see Bo-Katan, it's like, I'm seeing the top of the iceberg. I know everything that's below it. And I always wonder, are other fans not going to love it as much? And I love that it's a big thing for you because, Katie Sackhoff, she was the voice actor for this character all along. We're talking about
I love it.
The actress who plays Bo-Katan.
She will always be Starbuck to me.
Yeah, she definitely is. And I think the fact that this character is in a lot of ways very similar. In the Clone Wars, she's playing someone who's an iconoclast. She's going against the ruling power of Mandalore, which is kind of part of the irony of all this. She's part of a group called Death Watch, which the Children of the Watcher definitely have some connections to. So it all ties together in some great ways. I have to say, there was so much of this episode that I loved. I loved all the character development. I loved all we got from Bo-Katan. I know there's going to be a lot of good things to talk about. I just want to say this quickly. I just thought there were too many fight scenes. The fight scenes went on a little bit too long. That's what I love. I love the fight scenes.
And she is so much better at using the darksaber than he is. He should really just give that to her at this point.
It's funny, one of the fight scenes I realized the first time I watched it through, when she and Grogu are going through and the big monster things they give a name to, I totally forget what it is.
Yeah.
But they attack. I rolled my eyes. I was like, not another fight scene. But then I realized that it tells us a very important thing, which is that Din is supposed to be this great hunter, this great bounty hunter, and he is. But he got ambushed by those creatures, and she didn't. She knew what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 100% her home. She knows what to look for. And seeing her both get to take the darksaber, which to the real purists who say she has to win it in battle from Din, this probably doesn't count, but still, he's down, he's wounded, she takes it. That's got to count for something.
I was upset when he just put it back all nonchalant, loosey-goosey. I'm like, are we not going to have a conversation about that? No. Okay.
Yeah. It was definitely disappointing, but I get it because she really still holds to that belief, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I'm glad that you love them. It just went a little bit too much for me. This the kind of Russian doll droid, a robot mecha thing was just, I just wasn't here for it. But if other people loved it, that's awesome. And that's all I'm going to say.
I was happy to see some lightsaber about wielding.
That's fair. That's fair.
My favorite. And I love the darksaber. I love that he still has a problem using the darksaber. But, and that's what I was saying to Ken. I was like, it's confidence. You got to be confident in it, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that what it is? Why is it so hard to wield the darksaber? Well, I know we talked about this, but refresh me.
Well, I think, and they talked about this somewhat in Book of Boba Fett, but also a lot in the Clone Wars. Yeah, you do have to have that confidence. You do, but it's not just confidence. It's a real sense of because for the Jedi, they connect with the lightsaber through the Force. And part of that is just because, remember, you're swinging something that's basically weightless. It doesn't have that heavy metal blade that a sword normally would. So your balance is just all kinds of off. But also that, in the Force, not that the lightsaber is sentient in any real way, but that you are connecting with it. You're connecting with the energy in it as its separate thing, and you're building a bond. And there's a lot of stories about how Jedi, that they pick up someone else's lightsaber and it just feels wrong to them. And so I think that's the other part of it. But also, and so for Bo-Katan and all the Mandalorians, like none of that's there because none of them have the Force. But I think she and the other part of like, you know, the more regular Mandalorian, the one who grew up on Mandalore itself, this is a huge part of their history. They know this. She picks it up and she immediately knows like what this is.
Yeah.
Din, he didn't grow up hearing stories of the Darksaber. And so I think he doesn't know it. I think she believes that she has a claim to the throne. He doesn't have any sense of that. Right now, he thinks of himself as an apostate. He thinks himself not even worthy to call himself Mandalorian. So, yeah, I think there's all kinds of reasons why.
Interesting. Yeah, all those damn Mandalorian laws. It's
right?
kind of ridiculous.
Well, and one thing I really liked about this episode is, I think until now, and I've seen this a lot online, it's kind of being discussed as though like Bo-Katan and all her people, you know, they're like the normal Mandalorians and they've got kind of normal ideas. But Din and the Watch people and the people who follow the This is the Way, they're the super out there ones who are religious fanatics. And to me, what this reminded me of is like, Din and his group have their sense of religious law, and you cannot take the helmet off, and you have to follow this version of the creed and all that. But Bo-Katan and her people do have the same kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Because to them, the fact that he gives her the Darksaber doesn't matter. The fact that she claims it after he's lost it in battle and she rescues him doesn't matter. And I think Bo herself has gotten kind of cynical about it, but the people she wants to lead, they have just as much kind of fanaticism, not fanaticism is kind of the wrong word, but they have just as much, you know, blinders on and total devotion to the letter of the law, to the Darksaber law, as he and the Armorer do to the helmet law.
Yeah, it's like what we were kind of talking about the last episode. You know, you scoff at this, but you're also doing it equally. Like, and, question, does she have to kill him? She doesn't have to kill him. She just has to beat him in a fight.
She doesn't have to kill him. She has to beat him in a fight. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like they could just put on a show.
You know, you'd think that. And I think a lot of it goes to where Bo-Katan's character is right now. Because, I mean, she could have just, like, taken the Darksaber and stabbed him while he was in that cage, you know? She could have fought him 100 times before then. Can
we get real for a second? When he was like, I'm still going, and she's like, fine, I'll just take you down to show you where it is. I was like, oh, she's definitely going down there, because I thought to bathe in the waters means you had to take all your little Mando, armor off. And even when they got down there, she's down there, she has a little smile. It's like, oh, sis wants to see what he looks like. And then he didn't do it. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's going in all. Ah. She wasted this whole trip for nothing.
Right? I get with
thought he was going to take his helmet off.
I get with their whole well, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought he might take a lot more than the helmet off, and we're here for that too.
Bo-Katan as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take it down.
I definitely think that, it was interesting to me that he goes to be bathed in the water as well, like, what I would think of as him, that like his skin, no part of it's going to touch, but I think that's part of the point, is that in their culture, he is the armor. And so, yes, he is being bathed in it because the armor is being bathed in it.
Oh. So not to jump around, but what do you think happened to him when he went into the water? Did he just misstep where the ledge was, or do you think something grabbed him?
So did you see the kind of huge monster thing that we saw?
That's question 2. Let's follow up.
Exactly. So we're not officially told, but all indications are that is the mythosaur,
right,
which is a creature
she just read about.
Right, exactly, which we heard about being this great creature from legend.
Cool.
And so I thought it's possible that the mythosaur grabbed him, or that just there was some kind of like, although then you kind of wonder why the mythosaur let him go. I think it's also possible, that he just kind of like stepped in the wrong place, or like there was a whirlpool, or maybe something the mythosaur was doing was like kind of bringing him down.
Because he went down faster than she did with her blasters on. And that was like what I noticed. I'm like, how did he get down there so quick?
Well, and he was in the middle of saying the creed when it happened. Like, I don't think he in any way intended to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just this. it was just this kind of crazy attack moment. But I think certainly seeing the mythosaur was, for those of us who've been waiting for that for decades, like, it was a huge moment. And clearly I think we're going to get a lot more into the mythology and the lore of Mandalore.
Would that thing wouldn't be trying to, like, kill them, though, right? It's just, like, cute. Because it looked like an elephant.
I think the name mythosaur is kind of significant. I think part of the point is that by the time any of the stories are being told, it's like that line from Lord of the Rings, history became legend, legend became myth. I think that's exactly what the mythosaur is. And so I'm guessing they don't know anything about it. Some stories might be that it's this ferocious killing machine, because all Mandalorians are. The truth might be that actually it was by Mandalorians learning to live in peace with it, that they had this thing, and the whole warrior culture is kind of problematic. Which would be huge because Bo-Katan is the sister of Satine.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's not girlfriend.
Exactly. Yeah, the one who...
I don't want to spoil anything, but...
Yeah, no, I'm okay spoiling a show that's 15 years old by now.
Okay.
It's all been... Yeah, she is dead. And she was fighting against the group that Bo-Katan was a part of. And the two of them had this real rivalry. But part of it was that Satine wanted to bring peace to Mandalore. She wanted them to not be these warriors. And part of the idea is that there were a number of groups that splintered away and said, no, we have to be warriors.
Yeah.
And that one of them was the group that were so much into that, they were like, we should never even take our helmets off. Our weapons should be part of our religion. Like,
someone always goes overboard.
Yep. So I think where we're going with the mythosaur, I think is just going to be a really interesting story about what is Mandalore, what does Din believe, what does Bo-Katan believe, how do those both relate to the truth, how is it all going to come together?
So it's a big deal that Bo-Katan saw the mythosaur because she thinks it's all hocus pocus.
Very much so, yeah.
Cool.
I think it's entirely possible that one or both of them might not want to even believe that it's a mythosaur. They might think it's just some weird thing, like maybe the Empire left it here.
I'm like, I don't know. That looked a lot like our helmets. Yeah.
I think you're so right. And let's even go back. So what did you think of Bo-Katan at first? Like where she was like so angry at Din and then just on a dime, she changed immediately from yelling at them to be like, oh, Din's in trouble. I've got to go rescue him.
For a second, I thought like, oh, she's going to see this as a moment to like seize the Darksaber because I don't really know, her as a character too much. But now I feel like I really do because she's immediately like, oh my God, where is he? Where? But also the babe, Grogu is just so gosh darn cute.
Yeah. How do you
say no?
I think that's a part of it, but mostly to me, this reminded me a lot of the moment you see in like a MCU movie or a DC movie where the hero realizes they have to be the hero. That they can't just go back and hide, that they have to say, someone needs me. I have the ability to do this. I'm going to go do this.
Yeah.
And I loved it because I think Bo-Katan has been this very morally gray character for a while. And seeing her fully be the hero we knew she could be is just amazing.
And I love that Din knew that that's the one person he could reach out to. Like, I feel like that wasn't just a random choice.
Yeah.
It would be somebody who's also brave enough to go to Mandalore, which turns out to be great, kind of.
Yeah.
He could breathe.
No, I think that's so true. And the fact that he recognizes that she was right. That she's been right all along, that the planet is still livable, that they can still go back, that the curse has been broken. This was another thing I thought was a little bit off about the episode. The way he says it, like, it's so exposition-y. Like, I was just like, could we have that be a little more subtle and not so on the nose?
There were a couple lines that were a little like,
Yeah.
There was one specific, I can't remember it, but I was like, who wrote this?
Yeah. But I think the idea of it getting across, and I kind of wish we had seen it, but I have to believe that at some point, like, the droid showed her a recording of like him saying that, because it was just so. I don't know if the droid was with them, but certainly Grogu could convey that somehow.
I guess. At least I'm glad we're starting to get him like advancing a little bit in his age.
Yeah.
Like he's starting to like kind of make noises and jump around and be able to do stuff. Like him throwing that little creature out was great. I was like, yeah, get him.
Yeah.
I love Grogu at full power. He's going to be such a great Sith Lord. But also him learning from Din is really cute because of course, they're like, oh, look, learn map stuff. So obviously we're going to have, map stuff or some kind of thing in the episode. But yeah, he's, I'm like, are we going to make him he's either going to be a Sith or a Mandalorian by the end of this. I'm not sure where we're going.
He could grow up to be Snoke. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Anything's possible.
I reject that. I reject it. I remember it was when they were already down there and they're standing on the thing after we've said like 5 times that they were on their own. And he was like, well, we're going even lower. Guess we're on our own. I'm like, you've been on your own the last 5 times that you said you're on your own, man. Yeah. And we're still going down. I get it.
We're cut off from everyone in the galaxy.
Ken's like, well, how do they know that the air is better down there? Who's testing the air quality as you go deeper down? I'm like, stop it. It's you can't think about those things. Push it out. Plow forward.
I do need to draw a cool connection, and you have seen this before.
Okay.
Did you recognize the red and white droid who he winds up bringing along with him to test the air?
I kind of recognized it. Like, I want to say like a dory, but that's not its name. That's a fish. It's painted up better. But where is it in the newer movies?
No. So all the way back in A New Hope, when Luke and Uncle Owen go to buy a droid, the first droid they buy is this red and white thing, and then it has a motivator unit that blows, and because it blows up, we instead get R2-D2.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's the same one. Down to, and I looked at it, I was like, is that the same one? And then I looked closer, and they showed burn marks exactly where that motivator blew before. So that was awesome. And
that's special for just you guys. Yep. I love stuff like that so much. I just like hearing and learning it.
Yeah, I mean, just these little Easter eggs. It's like when I listen to the Terror Theater stuff and you draw those things in, I'm like, how someone's referencing a movie of one of the people they love. It's just so great because that's the thing. It's like you don't if you think it's just a random droid, you don't miss anything. But it's just this one little added layer. I'll also say, I won't give it away, but for anyone who has read or for anyone who wants to read the books From a Certain Point of View, which are just a series of little 5 to 10 page mini short stories told from the point of view of different characters throughout the movies. One of them is told from the point of view of that droid.
Oh, that's so fun.
And it's fantastic. It's
Is the
really,
whole
really
book
good.
beep boop, bop boop, beep boop?
Yeah. So glad he got to have his moment.
You do an audiobook.
And yeah, I agree with you that I think we were ready for Grogu to start doing some more. And the fact that he's not verbal yet, but he can clearly understand everything that's being said to him, and he can convey it enough. I'm guessing that there was some degree of I kind of wish we had seen Bo-Katan talking to some combination of him and the droid to figure it all out, because I'm really interested in how that happened. But the fact that the droid was able to tell Grogu was able to tell the droid where to go, communicate with her, bring everyone back. It was just great. I
really enjoyed the scenes with her and Grogu, just being buck up, Buttercup. We're moving forward. Stop being he needs a little bit of that tough love that she's got there. I think she's a great influence on him.
And her line, "Do you think he's the only Mandalorian?"
Oh, I loved that because he was just in awe of her. It's yeah, she pow, pow, pow. Oh, I loved it.
And her telling him the stories about the other Jedi that she knew was just because, again, he had.
So she knows Ahsoka.
She knew Ahsoka. She knew Obi-Wan.
And okay.
Yeah, she worked with all of them.
Okay, cool.
In season 7 of the Clone Wars, which I think pretty much everyone would agree is far and away the best. One of the major plot lines of that is that Darth Maul has taken over Mandalore. He has the Darksaber. He's ruling Mandalore. Bo-Katan needs help to knock him out of power and to drive him and his people out. And so she goes to the Jedi to help.
Does he have Satine?
Satine is long dead by this point.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so Obi-Wan's already kind of so emotionally torn up over this. And originally all of them are going to go help, but then Obi-Wan and Anakin get called away because the Chancellor is being kidnapped on Coruscant.
Oh, that's the beginning of the movie. Oh,
exactly. And so the
crazy.
only one
so Order 66 happens while everybody's like separated.
Exactly. And the only one who can go is Ahsoka. And so it explains why in the world wasn't Ahsoka there when Anakin fell.
Oh. Well, that's very good writing. Somebody put some time into figuring out a good reason for his Padawan that they don't mention at all. To not be there.
Yeah, and they really do a good job with it. And the reason why it matters for this is it's great character growth for Bo-Katan because she had been one of the many Mandalorians who thought the Jedi were the enemy. And so that's the moment where she really partners with the Jedi. And so when she now talks about the Jedi to Grogu, it's just like, oh, it's all coming around.
I mean, this is going so off, but like, so why did the Jedi and the Mandalorian have problems with each other if they were all cool before? What happened? In 3 sentences. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Mandalore has never really wanted to fit easily into the Republic. They've always had a warrior culture. From the Jedi perspective, they were always warlike, and the Jedi had to put them down. From the Mandalorian perspective, the Jedi were these like bullies and enforcers of the Republic, and so they wanted their freedom and independence. A lot of it is told in the EU book, the Extended Universe books, which are no longer officially canon or not part of the Disney canon. They are their own canon. So we don't have too much of it in Disney canon, but some of that same idea has been reasserted. And the last time a Mandalorian was a Jedi, that person made the Darksaber.
Oh.
And then broke with the Jedi.
Oops.
And the reason why Beskar is so important is not only is it resistant to blasters, but Beskar is the only material that lightsabers can't cut through.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so they're specifically trained in how to fight Jedi. Which is awesome.
Okay. It's like if they also weren't so, like, both of them are just so religious. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so set with I would never be a Jedi. I could never be a Jedi.
Yeah.
It all sounds cool until you, like, look at it on paper and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But also with that, like, I'm like, oh, I'm more a Mandalorian. And I'm like, oh, wearing a helmet all the time. That doesn't sound like my bag.
Yeah.
That's why I like Bo-Katan so much, because I feel like that's me.
Yeah.
Give me the Darksaber.
I think part of it is because she saw what happened to her sister, but she's also seen what happened to Death Watch when they went too far the other direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes her character so wonderful is it's why she's so jaded, so cynical, because she has seen all of it and none of it's worked. And now the fact that they're giving her hope again, I'm really excited to see where her character goes. It's
funny that you say that because I saw that on her face the entire episode. She was like looking happy and I'm like, girl, we're not, Wednesday Addams. She's always, all business, no fun. But in this episode, her acting was so good that I was noticing. I'm like, wait, she's happy about all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I think when we look back at this whole thing in 10, 20 years, we're going to talk about Katie Sackhoff as one of the truly great actors in Star Wars because she's played the same character almost like if she continues another couple of years, she'll have played it for 20 years.
That's amazing.
And it's amazing. The character has evolved because she started out somewhat happy-go-lucky, like part of this kind of terrorist group, and terrorist by some definitions, not by others.
Happy little terrorist.
but she was sometimes teasing her sister about not being so having some fun sometimes, and her character has just evolved in so many directions, and you just have to root for her at this point.
It does make me nervous, though, the whole Darksaber of it all. The elephant in the room, because what's going to happen with that?
Right. Yeah, we don't know.
Oh no.
We don't know. So, any other last things about this episode you wanted to comment on?
I think we covered it. I don't know what the heck that robot living creature thing was, but I love that they did like a horror movie thing on it. You have to make sure they're dead.
Yep. You got to kill the head.
Got to kill the head.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing I just wanted to bring up is Peli Motto, who's the mechanic played by Amy Sedaris. We've seen her a bunch by now.
I love her. Her wig is goddamn awful. Ugh.
Her what?
Her wig is terrible. It's so distracting. I'm like, somebody give her a little bit of a better wig because I love her.
It would be better. I love her. And just the fact that she's running this kind of brilliant scam with the Jawas, that, the Jawas steal all the parts. Then she's like, sorry, it's going to be super expensive to replace them. except the Jawas have all the parts. She replaces them. She paints them different colors. She tells them to go out and rob others. Like, it's just, you gotta love it.
Hustler. I'm a hustler, baby.
Having fun. And did you catch what it was they were talking about, the holiday that was coming up, Bunta Eve?
Nope. Tell me.
The race that Anakin wins that earns him so much attention, the pod race, is the Bunta Eve Classic.
Oh, so it's like their Formula 51.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the Indy 500.
Cool. That's why there are all those fireworks?
Yep.
Cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just
a lot of fireworks on that town. I like it.
Yeah. But, there's nothing to burn. It's all super, deserty. So
it's so true.
Exactly. All right. Well, I want Ashley to give a chance to talk about all the great things she's doing, but I want to make a quick announcement first, which is that this podcast was born out of an amazing group of podcasts called the Stranded Panda Podcast Network. Even before I started doing this one, I started doing the superhero ethics because I was listening to these two guys named Matt and Jeff talk about the MCU, the MCU cast. I started writing in my crazy ideas to them. They read them out. They listened to me. They had me on. It really inspired me to create a podcast. So, and they are the ones who started the Stranded Panda Podcast Network that now the MCU cast is part of, Star Trek cast is part of, Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater, a lot of great podcasts, and my podcasts have been a part of it up till today. Today I'm announcing that we are taking the podcasts over to the True Story FM Podcast Network. They're the people who do the MCU, who do the Marvel Movie Minute podcast, among a lot of other great others. And it's kind of a bittersweet day for me. I love Stranded Panda so much. Stranded Panda is doing amazing things. It continues to do amazing things. It's just not quite where my podcasts are going, and so that's why I think True Story is going to be a little bit of a better fit. But I know Matt is going to continue to come on some of my podcasts. Ashley, who's now another one of the co-hosts of the MCU podcast, is staying on here at least through this season. And, it just, I have all the love in the world for the Stranded Panda Podcast Network. I definitely want to encourage people, if you're not already, go to strandedpanda.com. Pretty much any fandom that you're interested in, they're probably doing a podcast on. The new Shazam movie is coming out in just a couple days. They're doing a podcast on that on Bingers Assemble. I've had a great fun on PandaVision, talking about shows like The Boys and Umbrella Academy. I know that Ashley is right now doing a whole series on all of the Oscar movies you could imagine to watch. They're all up there. So please check that all out. In terms of listening to this podcast, everything should stay the same. If you have trouble getting any of the upcoming episodes, please let me know, but you shouldn't. We're putting a pause on Patreon for the moment because it is going to be, we're shifting to kind of a membership system over there. If you're a patron already, don't worry. You're going to keep all the same great benefits you have. You're not going to pay $1 more. If you're thinking about becoming a patron, I just say just hold off on a couple weeks till we get all the membership stuff lined up. But so please do all of that. And mostly though, please again, check out all the great things that are happening on Stranded Panda. And I will ask one of its chief ambassadors, Ashley, tell us what you're doing these days.
I just want to say, it's great that, we are able to collaborate and do different things on different streams and bring different networks over to different, listeners. And I think it's going to be great for you. And I'm really excited to see all the different things that you might do with this network. And it's going to be really great.
Yeah.
And we're all going to still collab and it's going to be fun. It'll be nice. We have crossovers. It's just like Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
It's not over. It's, it's just going to be better because now there's more. But yeah, I'm on Bingers Assemble doing the Oscar stuff. Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater. We are going hard for the Scream movies because the premiere of Scream 6 is this weekend, whenever this comes out, or the 11th. And we just finished our episode on the original Scream movie, which is a long one. So buckle up, everybody. But there was a lot to talk about. And, you can always find us at the MCU cast. We're covering all things Marvel, all the most recent news, feedbacks, everything that you guys have to say. So, yep, I'm around.
Awesome. And we're going to have a little bit more with Ashley in just a second, because for those patrons, you'll get in the bonus content. We're actually going to ask Ashley for some Oscar predictions now with all the things that she's seen. But I just want to say, the most important reason why I do this podcast is because I love feedback. I want to have these conversations with you all. I love having them with Ashley. I love having them with Paul and with Aaron and all the other great, with Riki and Sarah and all the other great co-hosts I've had. But I love having them with you as well. So please write in. Let us know your thoughts. What did you think of this episode? What do you think of Bo-Katan and where her journey is going? Is that the Mythosaur? What was it like watching it for you? You can find us on email, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. All those you can find in the show notes, or we're going to theethicalpanda.com. So stick around.
Write in to tell me anything that you think I need to know. I want to know.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, tell me.
It's just this great opportunity. And as well, also, if you're someone else who hasn't watched, like, I want this I think there's a lot of other great Star Wars podcasts out there. I'm not claiming that I'm the only good one by any means, but I do know, and I've heard complaints about this, that there's some where they're just acting like, if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, like, how can you call yourself a Star Wars fan? What are you doing? And to me, if Mandalorian is literally the only Star Wars thing you've ever watched, I still want you listening, and I want you to feel welcome here. So let me know what this is like for you, however much of the Clone Wars you have or haven't seen. All that's in the show notes. And so I'm having myself, Ashley, thank you so much for listening. We have spoken.
Bye. You have to go back and find that, because when you accidentally said Star Trek instead of Star Wars, I literally did a spit take.
That's so good.
And I had to, and I saw it. It went boop, boop, and I had to make sure
The context there, because yes, I am still recording, and yes, this will be in the episode, is that Matt Carroll and I have this constant, like, good-natured, like, which is better, Star Trek or Star Wars? I love both. He loves both. But we have our favorites, and we have a little rivalry, and I constantly mix those two up. And so I would be in the middle of talking to him about why Star Wars is so much better, and I would say Star Trek instead, and he'd be like, gotcha. So, yeah. Anyway.
I think that's why he wears the Star Wars shirt that says Star Trek at the bottom. It's like all this because of you.
Yep. So I love it. We have spoken. Engage.
Bye.
Welcome back for our patrons. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. I know your support, it just really means so much to me, because it means that, like, I mean, it helps keep the lights on, helps pay for things, but also it's just such a great acknowledgement that this is important to you and that you value the content we're creating. So, Ashley, I know you have gone where others have feared to tread. You have watched an awful lot of the movies that are nominated for the Oscars, some of which are, utterly beloved, others of which are, little things no one's heard about. Let's just go through some of the big categories and talk about who you think are going to win the Oscars. But let me just start with just a general question of, like, overall, like, what's your kind of feel for, like, where does the Academy think the best movies are going right now?
So I will say that this year, not last year because of COVID, and the year but the year before that. So I guess it would be like 1999, 2019, and then the last couple years have been so much more inclusive for movies, for actors, for stories, and it's been a really beautiful thing to see. But it has made it extremely hard to play our Oscars game and to give predictions, because this year is really hard. This is the hardest year. And like, Ken's like, you say that every year. It's because I win every year. But I'm very nervous about this year. I said to him, I was like, I feel like we're not going to score high at all. I have everything is so diverse, every single category, and everyone brings such a different story and a different piece of work to every performance that I don't know. It's and I've watched every Oscar movie except we don't watch animated short film or animated film. That's the only ones we don't watch. So we're doing your documentary shorts. We're doing your, regular shorts, which I honestly think they should make easier for people to find.
Yeah.
We have 3 films left out of all of these, and it's been a journey.
That's awesome.
Ask me your questions.
and I do love what you're saying there, because that's kind of the impression that I've gotten, is that it's, it's hard to say which is the best, because it's sort of like, okay, well, what style of movie do you love most? And the person who loves this style of movie most, there's a movie that's nominated. That's one of the best examples of that style. But if you love this other kind of style, well, there's one of the best of that kind of style. And
Best Picture is ridiculous, because every year they add more and more to it, which makes it more difficult, but it also makes it easy for me to kind of break it down. So if we look at Best Picture, it's All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun: Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking. Right now, I can tell you All Is Quiet, Avatar, Top Gun, Triangle of Sadness, and Woman Talking, and Elvis are not winning.
Yeah.
But those last 4, you start to break it all down. It really comes down to Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Fabelman. The Fabelman was so good. And it's a love letter to Hollywood, which the Academy adores.
Right.
And it's it's Spielberg's semi-autobiographical film.
Right.
I don't know how much is about his life, but I know that it is influenced by, everything that he has gone through. And there are some really great performances in that. Everything Everywhere All at Once was such a good movie. It's not my favorite movie, but this is where I start to think of the Academy. Like, I think that they're going to win so many categories.
Yeah.
And we play the game with what you want to win and what you think will win. What you want to win is 1 point. What you think will win is 2 points. And if you go all in, that's 5 points. So that's kind of like how we do our game.
Okay.
Every one of my categories are split.
Yeah. I can see that, yeah. And I think that's kind of a perfect example because, Everything Everywhere All at Once is this, the acting is incredible. The writing and direction, I think, are great. But also, it's just, it is doing so much stuff with movie making as an art. Mm-hmm. Whereas The Fabelman, as I understand, is pointing a camera at people talking. And, it's amazing acting and directing and writing. But it's, again, I haven't seen it, but what's been described to me is, it's the kind of thing that could be, you could make that into a play as well. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, but I think that's just a very different, I could see some people be like, that's the kind of movie we love. We don't want all the special effects stuff. We want telling a story with great characters and great writing and great acting. And other people are like, this is about movie making. And this movie does incredible things with the movie making, So it's just, it feels like that's just going to be as much about what style people like.
And that's why every category is very hard because you have best directing. It's both of those movies. You have cinematography. You have all of acting, leading roles, supporting roles. It's all. This movie is up for, I believe it's 11 Oscars, which is the same amount as Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. There's only 3 movies in the history of the Oscars that have had 11 nominations. And now there's 4.
Yeah. Well, because I think normally the idea is, and I don't think this is as true as people think it is, but I think there is some truth to it, that you either spend all your money on the best quality actors or on the best quality sci-fi, special effects.
Right.
And that often if a movie is very special effects driven, you're kind of going for the foreign audiences anyway. Who cares about what the actors are?
Well, that's where it gets hard. Visual effects is Avatar, The Batman, Black Panther, Top Gun Maverick, and All Is Quiet on the Western Front. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, ugh. Black Panther was really, really good. But Avatar, because it's Avatar, is going to win. And I don't agree with that. And I'm telling you, I guarantee they're going to win because they put it up for a bunch of other movies. And I don't know. It's just, you would think that Everything Everywhere All at Once would be up for visual effects. I was pretty surprised that it wasn't.
Yeah. I don't remember if you like this movie much, but are you surprised that The Batman didn't get in there for Best Picture?
No, I'm not surprised at that.
Okay.
No. The Batman is up for visual effects and I believe makeup and hairstyling for Colin Farrell. But I will say The Whale is probably going to take, it's going to be between The Whale or Black Panther.
Okay.
And this is how hard it is to think about that category, because if you look at Black Panther, all of the things they did with hair and makeup for so many characters and just whole cultures and people and dozens and dozens of characters. It's amazing. Every detail, nothing was overlooked. It is fabulous. The Whale is one makeup that takes 6 hours on one person, but looks unbelievably realistic.
Right.
And how do you even, it's hard. Yeah. I do think that The Whale is going to win that because I think that costume design is going to go to Black Panther. But they're up for costume design against Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, which is also incredible.
There is the behind the scenes on Disney Plus about Black Panther was amazing. Mm-hmm. It really goes into how much work they did to all the costumes and to everything. So I'm going for costume design. I'm going with Black Panther. That's my all in.
Yeah.
I really do think that they're going to win. But it's hard because Elvis is in there too. And that was, it's a hard year.
Yeah, I can see that. And there again, it's like, that's another style of movie that a lot of people love. It's like the biopic, I saw Elvis. I thought it was fine, but I didn't think it was, again, anything kind of revolutionary or groundbreaking in terms of movie making. But yeah, the costumes, the setting, like
I'm a Baz Luhrmann stan, so it's really hard for me to not vote for them in anything.
That's fair.
I don't Elvis, and that's what Ken's like. So many things are up for so many things, and you're like trying to pick. You're like, okay, is this movie is up for almost every category? Are they really not going to give them anything?
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Now, just back to Black Panther, I know because you're also the MCU person. Is this going to be the year that the MCU wins an acting award? Is Angela Bassett going to win Best Supporting Actress?
No, I think so.
Yeah,
I think that is going to go to. I don't know how to say her name exactly, but it's Hong Chau, I believe, Chau, for The Whale. She was just in a movie, The Menu, recently, and I thought her performance in that was amazing. Angela Bassett has a very good chance, though. It's hard because then it's also for supporting. It's Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Hsu, I guess, from both of them from Everything All Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, two characters in the same movie in the same category seems very odd to me.
Oh, I know, and it's been very split with people winning throughout all of award season so far. Like everybody's kind of gotten one.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to realism in acting, and she choked me up in one of her scenes, and that affected me. So I have to split that category. Like if I think it's a hard cut, Best Supporting Actress and Best Actress are extremely hard this year.
Yeah. Best Actor is a little easier.
Yeah, Best Actor is definitely going to Brendan Fraser.
Okay.
For The Whale, because he's up against Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, which was a very random, very sad indie artsy movie, which I'm surprised that even got a nod. And he did great in it, but he's not going to win. And Bill Nye for Living. Living was great, but I don't think he's going to win. But Brendan Fraser came and served in The Whale.
Yeah. I think he's also, like, let's be honest, there's a lot of times either politics, and I don't mean that in terms of like Democrat, Republican, but in terms of like different stories that are or not popular, as well as also just personalities. Like the Brendan Fraser comeback story is one that is so popular right now that I'm not saying he doesn't deserve like a lot of compassion and sympathy and attention because of that. But yeah, I think I can very much understand why that plus just amazing acting performance when I've heard it.
Well, it's kind of crazy to me because Darren Aronofsky is such an amazing film director. I love all of his stuff. I mean, Black Swan. I have a huge Black Swan tattoo on me. I loved that movie. The fact that he's not up for Best Director and this isn't up for Best Picture is troubling. I want to say because you have Top Gun Maverick in there, but you didn't put The Whale, and if you've seen it, you know why I'm saying this. Like,
so here's my theory, and tell me if I'm being too paranoid or too anti-conservative here, but I was shocked when Top Gun Maverick was nominated. And don't get me wrong, I loved the original Top Gun when I was 10 years old, and have continued to think it's like a really fun movie. And I thought this one was another like a very fun Top Gun movie.
Yeah.
And then it got nominated, or even before when people were talking about it being nominated. And I didn't get it until I started reading the comments of people who were saying it should be nominated. And what I was hearing a lot was, we don't need another woke superhero. We need another good old-fashioned American man's man hero movie. And that became
I heard a different... Because Top Gun made over $1 billion at a time when we thought the theaters were going out of business, I feel like that's the only reason that they're giving it any sort of accolades is because it did bring the theater goers back to the theaters right after the pandemic, which was nothing that a Marvel movie could do.
Right. And I do notice that, like, for the last couple of years, there's been a big push of, like, why does Hollywood seem to hate on a movie if it's popular. So if that's the reason, then I'm a lot better about it. But
but you're not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, there is that definite, and again, like, I don't think that makes, I'm not like Top Gun's a Republican movie or anything like that. You know, I mean, people of all political parties love all movies, but like, it was a throwback movie to that kind of rah-rah America. And I can see why someone would be like, oh, I don't want a woke DC or MCU hero. I want a man's man. And that's just like, well, that's why some people love it.
That's why there's 10 Oscar movies up. It's like, or 10 movies up for Best Picture. It's like, you're just kind of throwing, you're like, yeah, just, give them a nod. And it's like, okay, well, can we get serious? Because it makes it really difficult to cover all these when I'm telling you only 4 of them should be in this category.
Yeah. Now, speaking of another great comeback story, is my man Top Round going to take Best Supporting Actor?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's going to go to Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah.
Because I'm already kind of perplexed that Colin Farrell is up for Best Actor and Brendan Gleeson is up for Best Supporting Actor when I thought that they were very equal characters in that film. So it's confusing to me, but I thought Brendan Gleeson did a really, really good job. I mean, what's his name? Brian Tyree Henry was in a really powerful movie with Jennifer Lawrence called The Causeway. And it was she was injured in Iraq and was trying to come back and have a life while having a severe brain injury. And her mom was like, alcoholic and blah, blah, blah. And they became friends. And he was like a very good supporting actor. It was powerful. He was going through his own shit. It was really good.
Yeah. And just by the way, if anyone doesn't know who I'm talking about Ke Huy Quan. I hope I'm getting the name right.
Oh my God. You just said Short Round, didn't you? I knew exactly who you meant.
Yeah. Because the and that's why I say it's a comeback story. The actor played Short Round. I think I called him Top Round by accident. Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He was this wonderful, 10-year-old kid. I think if you made that today, you maybe make him a little less of a white stereotype of an Asian kid. But he played the role. He was fantastic. And then he really disappeared until he came back, and he's the husband in this movie, and is just phenomenal.
I will say I'm probably going to split that because I think that Guan.
It's Ke Huy Quan, I believe.
I believe that the Academy might give it to him. But in my heart, I have to give it to Brendan Gleeson. Just like, I don't know. They were both good performances, but Gleeson really brought it, I thought.
Yeah, that's fair.
He was like, I just don't want to be your friend. Get off my lawn.
I loved the first half of that movie so much. I did not like where it went in the second half, but I get that.
Well, it's so Irish. Listen, that is the most Irish movie that has ever Irished ever. It's
I know.
Just Irish stubbornness. Like I'm a musician and I don't want to hang out with you anymore just because I think you're boring. And if you keep fucking with me, I'm going to cut my fingers off. And the both of them just relentless. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was so Irish. I was like, oh my God.
It definitely is. I'm like, I lived here in Ireland. I studied Irish literature and plays, and I also studied Irish history. And so and as a metaphor for the Irish Civil War, I mean, it's a
Are you Irish?
No, I'm Welsh.
Then you
and Scottish.
Don't understand.
Okay, sure. I eat corned beef, and potatoes with anyone, but it was just it's all a metaphor for the Irish Civil War that was happening. Yeah, I know what it was doing. If nothing else, I think the idea of realizing that your friends are holding you back from who you want to be and wanting to explore that, and that not being a terrible thing, that was such an interesting idea that I wanted a movie that took that idea seriously and kept with it, and instead went to this much more black comedy of stubbornness. And I was like, okay, this is, I just can't deal with the fingers. It's not a thing for me.
Shot beautifully, though.
I'm sure. I'm not taking away from the movie. I'm saying that's just my failing as a movie watcher. All right. Well, we could go on for hours.
Hours, yeah. We gotta
frankly,
cut it.
People don't need to go on for hours. Just listen to everything Ashley's doing over at Bingers Assemble, which is a podcast you can find easily. So let me just ask you this. What's your biggest upset? What's the thing that you think is going to happen that if this person wins, you're going to be the most look, no one else thought I was right, but I told you so.
Oh, that's Oh, that's a hard one. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. You caught me let me look at all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at Best Picture. Honestly, if Everything Everywhere All at Once doesn't win for Best Picture.
Yeah.
That would be
It seems like
my
it's a
surprise.
very, very strong favorite.
Yeah. Triangle of Sadness, like I have to split it because I think Triangle of Sadness was probably my favorite movie that we've watched.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But no, if Everything Everywhere All at Once doesn't win for Best Picture, I will be very shocked.
Yeah. I can see that. Well, Ashley, thank you so much. It was awesome getting to hear all your thoughts on this kind of stuff.
Oh, thank you.
We'll have definitely have and Ashley, thank you so much. It was great having you on for all this kind of stuff. And we'll have so much more to talk about after the Oscars, as well as next episode of Mandalorian. So tune in for that. And to all of our patrons, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Bye.